this is not the 4th round, as it turns out. I decided not to do that just because I wanted to do other things, like prepare for work. But regardless, final thoughts on the deck. I do not recommend it. I do not like this deck at all. Basically, it's just worse than the other options in the format, sadly. Like, both Boros and Jund have live top decks that don't rely on other cards being on the board as much, like Wolfir Silverheart or Aristocrat or Hellrider. Like, all those cards are very good. You can just draw off the top of your deck. The only thing in this deck closest to that is Geralt's Messenger, or Bloodline Keeper, I guess. And those cards are both very slow and aren't as impactful as those cards I just mentioned. Like, basically this deck is like Skur's deck High Priest. It requires a bunch of things to work together in order to be really, really good, but all those things are very situational, and you can't control when they happen a lot of the time. And also, as a additive, Skur's deck High Priest is my least favorite card in this deck, but it is actually helpful in some matchups, like where when it actually goes off, it's very good. But every single game I play, it turns like I usually never make a demon. It just seems like a wasted squire. Like, it makes me want to put Crypt Keepers in the main deck instead, just because they're 2-1 that you can sacrifice to trigger off Blood Artist, and sometimes get the reanimation decks people still play. But, I mean, Skur's deck High Priest, I keep hoping it does something. Yeah, I don't like this deck. Like, you have to... The main problem is you need a lot of things added together in order to win. Like, if you can go Gravecrawler, Ghoul, Gravecrawler, into like a Messenger, and then another Messenger or something, like the God Draw, obviously. But you need a bunch of things in order to win. Like, you need at least 2 1-drops, maybe some Highborn Ghouls if they're not playing black cards or reliable removal spells. Just a Messenger, or you need a bunch of, like, 2 Blood Artists, a Bloodflow Connoisseur, and enough creatures to throw away. Like, Bloodline Keeper, Bloodflow Connoisseur, and Blood Artist is a very good combo, because if they keep killing your Vampire tokens, and you can't flip your Bloodline Keeper, you can just sacrifice them all to drain them life. But you usually, since the format is so fast, you just don't have time to do that, and there aren't enough aggressive black cards to support, like Geralt's Messenger and Gravecrawler, which are the best cards in the deck. So, like, you end up just being a deck that has to have a lot of pieces in order to get ahead, and that usually just doesn't happen. Like, games where you mold a 5, you pretty much can't win. You'll just have no steam. And also, since you're mono black, your sideboard is not the best. So, like, I've seen people try to play blue for Diregraph Captain. I mean, that's something you may want to try. Where is it? Diregraph Captain. But then you have to play Evolving Wilds and Island, because there's no dual land, and then you can't cast your Messenger as reliably. But it is something to look at, because Blood Artist and Diregraph Captain have a lot of synergy. And then you could cut the Skur's deck High Priests, and just try to play a more grindy game, with casting Messenger later than turn 3 and such. But yeah, like, I'm not a big fan of how this deck plays and turned out, unfortunately. It seems more and more like there's just no fun decks to play in the format, so I might have to move on to something else pretty quickly here. I do want to give Miracle a spin. Like, let me pull up the Miracle deck that I'm working with. Oh, turns out I did not actually save it. I don't know where the Miracle deck is, but basically I want to try the white, blue, red, the America, I guess, French, whatever you want it to be, control deck with Gisela and Temporal Masteries and Entreat the Angels. Like, you can't play the blue-white one anymore, sadly. I actually really liked the one when it was legal. I should have done a video of it earlier when it was still viable, but I just didn't have the cards at the time. But that one's not viable anymore because Boros just crushes it. Like, you don't stand a chance. You have to spend a lot of turns getting your mana up, and Boros will just crush you during those turns. But the red one at least has bonfires. No, you should not ditch work. Sorry about that. Yeah, the red one at least has bonfires and such. Bonfire, Pillar Flame, Gisela. I actually like Gisela because if you're losing and you can play her, she halves all damage to you and it provides a large blocker. So I think she has First Strike too. She does have First Strike. so like that gives you a pretty good board presence if you can get her out, like stall the board, and also a pretty quick win condition if you can't mythic out or miracle out Entreat the Angels. So I want to try this deck next. That's my goal for next week. But until then, don't play zombies. I'm sorry for zombie lovers out there. I just haven't been able to find a good build. This is like the closest thing I've found to a one that's been winning consistently, and I just can't win more than one game in 3 with it, as actually referenced by this daily. So I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for watching this time. Any comments still, please put them in the box, and I will get to them. Thank you very much, and later.